Hey guys, Coach Logan here. Looking to play another Blitz game. I've hit my puzzle rush limit for now on a non-premium account. So we'll just do a regular old game. All right, versus I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Let's try D4. I haven't played that much D4. Okay, we'll go C4. All right, knight F3. This is a Slav. Okay, he's playing E6. We'll go E3. Let's try it. Okay, bishop D3. We'll go B3 here. Knight B to D2. Okay, let's get castled. Sort of waiting on bishop D6 so I can drop knight E5. Okay, I think I'll play it anyway. Takes, I'll take. Alright, we'll go F4. Try to secure this knight on its strong square here. Alright, his knight's a little bit annoying there. I guess we'll take it. I'd like to try to make some play against his king. Okay, it's not leaving me too many choices with the knight. Could take, but I think his knight's pretty bad there, and I feel like that's kind of a concession to him if I take. On the other hand, if I take queen takes, say I play even something like just leaving my pawn here, I do have a better pawn structure. All right, I think I will take. I just don't want to lose momentum. Let's get my king off of this diagonal. Okay, let's see here. Okay, I'm gonna go, let's go queen G4. I want to include this rook over here into the play. Maybe rook coming to D1. Put some pressure on E6. It's obviously not much. His queen is defending it. But if I can bring the rook to D1 and then take, then I don't know. At least it's something for him to think about. Problem is with this pawn here, it's tough to really use this long diagonal. I mean, like, he's made some compromises on his light squares, but I mean, my bishop is sort of shut out of this. Okay, so here, now it's a question. How should I take back? I think I'm going to take back with the pawn. This does give him a passed e-pawn, but I think I can actually put some pressure on it with rook to e1. He can play f5, but that will weaken his dark squares near his king. Maybe that doesn't matter so much. Because I guess he can bring his bishop there. Ooh, okay. I did not expect that. Alright, if I trade queens, takes, rook takes, then I can play f takes e5, he can play f takes, and then okay, I think I'm going to go with this. Queen takes, f takes e5, f takes, and then I'm not going to take back the pawn if he were to take. I'm going to play d5 and leave him with very weak doubled e-pawns, and his bishop will be shut out of play. So yes, even though this looks like it wins a pawn, it allows rook d2 and all sorts of things I'm not keen on, but now I played d5, his bishop is shut out. These two pawns are very weak. I'm attacking both of them. I think this should be very good for me. I'm up one pawn now. He's got some issues on e5, and he's got some time issues too, so I'm feeling pretty good about this here. Okay, he just resigned. I think resigning was a little bit extreme here, but maybe not much. I mean, this is really good for me. I can even play rook to c1 and defend the pawn and then start sending it, rook pawn to c5, pawn to c6. If I play rook c1 and he goes rook to c7, then I can play bishop takes e5, force a rook trade. I'm up a clean pawn. It's about to go to d6, so let's take a look at this on the analysis board. Okay, I think that seemed like a pretty clean win, which is nice. So let's go here. Let's show the lines. Okay, so just so you guys know, this is, I haven't played that much d4 on this channel. I've been doing mostly e4. D4 is a very good move, though. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. In some ways, you keep the, I mean, there's a lot of theory with D4, but it's not nearly as much as E4, and it's quite a good opening in itself. I think if you do play D4, though, you should play the Queen's Gambit, which is the main line. As opposed to, say, I don't know, like the London or the Collie or something like that. I think the Queen's Gambit really is the way to go because it's just putting the most direct pressure on black center, and it's really the way in a symmetrical position that white can say, okay, I have pressure on your center, you have less pressure on my center, so there's an advantage. Black should be okay, but it's white's best chance to try to put pressure. He played c6 rather than take the pawn. He's defending it with his c-pawn. This is a very, very solid, very popular way to defend. This is called the Slav defense. Knight f3, and here he played e6, which, I'm more of a fan of knight f6 here, I think, and then say I play e3. I like the move bishop g4, developing this bishop before playing e6. I don't know that there's really an issue with the way that he played, but also here he could play f5, which is a move, but after knight f6, we get a semi-Slav, but I've actually not committed this knight to c3 yet. And this was sort of Boris Avrukh, who has written a lot of very, very well-respected opening books. He wrote a book on basically a d4 repertoire for white some 10 years ago or so. And some of it, maybe hasn't held up super well, which is obviously natural for an opening book. I mean, theory is changing every day. But one thing that's actually held up really well is his recommendation against the semi-Slav, which is to play e3, and if they go e6 here, to play this move bishop d3, knight b to d7, and then b3, and just sort of delay the commitment of this knight. And basically, white is getting a pretty good version of like a Collie type of setup here, where you're going for knight e5. Black castled. Of course, he could take my knight, but after takes, well, my bishop is defending this pawn. He'll have to move his knight back. And I think white gets good attacking chances in a position like this. I mean, he can really start throwing f4 and, stuff like queen to g4 or queen to h5 is in the air. Both bishops are pointing at the black king. White has a big space advantage on the king side. I think these positions tend to be very pleasant for white. So he castled, he or she, I guess I don't know, f4. He played knight e4, so I took, just kept my bishop on this diagonal. And, black is probably not like lost here or anything. In fact, now the engine's starting to like him. I mean, maybe it didn't love king h1. They were suggesting d takes c5. I was thinking about that. So say something like queen takes d1, rook takes d1, and then say bishop takes c5. Here I would probably have a winning king, and I would definitely have a winning king and pawn endgame pawn structure because I have a healthy queenside pawn majority. He has an unhealthy kingside one because he has the double D pawn, so that would be a very good endgame. But I mean, I wasn't so crazy about activating this bishop. I probably should have gone for this though. King f2, he's not really hitting this pawn. I think white is definitely more pleasant here. I'm controlling the only open file. The more pieces that trade, we just tend towards an endgame where I'm going to be winning. So that looked probably the best. King h1 was probably a foolish attempt to keep my kingside attacking chances alive. And I think he should have played f5 here and shut down my queen, defended this pawn, and maybe black stands better there. Instead, he went c takes d4, e takes d4. Okay, they wanted bishop takes d4. They really wanted me to go for this structure. Instead, I played e takes d4, and again, I think he should have played f5 once more. I was still thinking that if f5, say queen g3, eventually I might try to work d5, but I think their point is bishop f6, and he's definitely counteracted this bishop, and well, actually, this pawn is under some serious fire, so maybe black is just winning there. Instead, he went e5, but that seems like a very serious blunder. Now I just take on e5, and then when he takes, I think I made the correct choice, yes. So this is what I was saying. I really don't want to go for something like this. Here, okay, they're just pointing out I'm dead lost after takes, and then I'm going to guess rook to d2. Yep, rook to d2. Shish kebabbing the bishops and just completely winning past e-pawn, everything. So instead, much better was the move I played, which was pawn to d5. maintaining the D file being closed, and just these two pawns are sitting ducks now. And yeah, well, so it's a nice win. Some interesting opening stuff going on. I think I should have gone with my initial instinct, which was instead of king h1, to just say, yeah, this is a good pawn endgame for me. Sorry, what am I doing? He can't hang his queen. He's got to throw in this little Zwischenzug, and then bishop takes c5. And I think after king f2, the burden is on black to show that he's okay here. The double pawns, I think, matter. I really do. I don't think that black is going to have a torturous endgame here. And you know, it's not impossible for white to get his queenside pawn majority rolling. a3, b4. Not immediately right away. I'd probably focus more on swapping pieces. If he does nothing, I'm going to play rook d7. If he challenges my rook, I think I'd be comfortable. Okay, the engine wants a3 to just try to start doing that. I would wonder about also trading. Yeah, I think this looks pretty good too. And then rook to d1. And even if the engine thinks that's maybe not the absolute best right away, I think that's really going to be a tough endgame for black. Again, this queenside pawn majority is nothing to mess with. And yeah, so, all right, interesting game. I will see you guys next video.